everyone, welcome to my Optimum Health God's Will YouTube channel. Today we are going to look at fitness or readiness for service and our overall health. How useful would or could a sick, diseased, chronically ill service personnel be, no matter how skillful, well and highly trained he is, and how much of the latest, greatest and best weapon, instrument, tool, equipment is provided to him. When we think of any service personnel, be it military, police, professional athletes, or others, during their intense training period, we see that the training is geared or more focused towards service fitness or readiness, such as mental toughness, physical readiness, a specific athletic fitness milestone or accomplishment that demonstrates dedication, holistic readiness or fitness that focuses on more than muscles, but on mental, nutritional, emotional, physical, and even spiritual fitness, so that each individual would be mission ready, mentally sharp, proactive, or acting ahead about physical ability to endure and develop capacity to carry out heavy tasks, heavy loads, to maintain peak performance under pressure, to train for the demands of the service or battlefield. Fitness to have ability to serve, stay ready, endure, dedicated to excellence, to maintain a proactive approach to health, such as intense physical training, holistic and disciplined nutrition, to ensure that individuals meet and exceed readiness standards for service. For example, if you are a handyman, would you like to use rusty tools when it comes to fixing things? When you pick up a tool to fix anything, wouldn't you want that tool or instrument to be in good working condition? For example, when I want to cut vegetables, fruits, pumpkin, if the knife is rusty or dull, it gets on my nerve. I have to make sure I sharpen it and maintain it in good working condition to use. And should you require a surgery for some health problems, you would want highly skilled, trained, knowledgeable surgeons or physicians with consistent update, as well as good instruments or tools for them to use in the procedure, don't you? Because though they may be the best surgeons or physicians in the world for a particular specialty, but if they don't have instruments or tools that are in good working condition, it will greatly limit their effectiveness in operating a patient. The same is true of God. God is perfect in all his ways. He is able to do all sorts of marvelous things on earth. However, he has made himself dependent on human beings as instruments and tools to carry out his will through us. In Matthew 9:38, when Jesus saw how ready and needy the world was for salvation, he asked his disciples to pray that the Lord of the harvest to send forth laborers or workers in his service. For example, when we think of musical instruments, if they are out of tune, the musicians will not be able to perform at their best, no matter how well they have mastered the instruments. Here again, we see that the same is true of God using Christians in his service of winning souls for his kingdom. He wants to use us, his instruments, to bless others and to advance his work. However, if we have weakened our bodies by poor habits and lifestyle, dull our minds by intemperance, and are spiritually weak because of our poor spiritual practices, we will be of little to no use to him. God will not be able to play the most beautiful music in and through our lives because our lives will be out of tune with him. When we look in the Bible, usefulness and fitness for God's work is a vital or important driver of health, as maintaining physical, emotional, and spiritual vigor or well-being is essential for effective service. A commitment to God and His service promotes habits that prevent disease through temperance, diet, rest, and others, while the mental peace resulting from a righteous life boosts physical vitality, health, and wellness. So we can see that true religion and health go hand in hand, and that cultivating the highest physical health enables the most effective labor or work for God's service, while a neglected body limits the soul's capacity to receive and comprehend or understand the divine truth. The Bible also tells us that God owns us and our bodies through creation and redemption, by creating us and by redeeming us from Satan and his evil angels, making health reform a religious obligation or responsibility on our part to secure the highest development of our body, mind, and soul for overall health and well-being, because a healthy body produces a clearer mind, making it easier to differentiate or distinguish between right and wrong, strengthening our moral powers needed to do God's work. Thus, the more perfect our health is, the more perfect will be our labor or effectiveness for God's service. Thus, a failure to take care of the health of the body often leads to feeble and weak minds, thus limiting one's effectiveness in God's service. The goal of maintaining holistic health, spiritual, emotional, and physical wellness is not merely to live longer, but to maintain the necessary condition to serve God and others, and to avoid injury to the temple of God, which is the body. Therefore, we believers must seriously take God's counsels concerning our physical, emotional, and spiritual health by following and obeying God's health principles. That is, godly trust, open fresh air, daily exercise, sunshine, proper rest, lots of water, always temperate, and nutrition. Only then will we be fit and effective instruments in His hands for His service. And only then will we glorify His name to the utmost in serving Him. So we must constantly remind ourselves that good overall health, spiritual, physical, emotional health, enhances our ability to serve God, whereas neglecting to take care of our health is not just a transgression or breaking of God's health laws, but turning ourselves into rusty and dull tools or instruments. Thus, we rob God of our service to Him. Friends, I would like to leave you with 3 John 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health as your soul prosper. Bye for now. God bless.